Hello, welcome back to Nature Inspired. Um, Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. And today, again, we have Mr. Bartlett with us, and he'll tell us a little bit um his bee production and what that could look like if incorporated with a Scotch bonnet pepper. Uh, Tell us about bees, though. Like
Oh, peace. Also,
I was reading one time, and somebody was telling me to that, and I want to.
yeah.
Like get bees involved, like get a bee box or two into the field. That would help with production, right?
Pollination, yeah, of course, yes.
So that would be like a natural way of increasing production.
Yes, it would because for bee are one of the primary pollinators. So when you look around, you see all of these fruit that are bees are one of the natural contributors to pollination because bee go pollinate the plants and in return they receive pollen that they use for the and all of that. So yes, having bees close by will definitely increase the chances of pollinate. There's one thing that we need to consider is that the bees operate within a foraging range, which is 3 miles, right? So often anybody who within this vicinity that has bees within that 3 mile radius, those bees are of service to you.
Oh,
Yes. So having a bee right here is just to show that you have a set of bees that are definitely, if you know that you can be assertive that persons around this area has bees, then you are most definitely, in good style.
good question.
You know.
Like how we use herbicides and pesticides on this earth, does it affect bees?
Yes, it does. So it does.
And does
So
it affect production of honey and stuff?
yes, it does. So two things happen with herbicide and insecticide. Insecticide. Pesticide is a broader category. So what pesticide does? These are insects. So pesticide, insect, you know the relationship. They're going to affect them. No, so pesticide will definitely kill the bees. There's no doubt about it. All right. So the adult bees are going to suffer, and the young bees are going to suffer from the pesticide due to its effect. Now, fungicide is another thing all in its own self. And yes, fungicide do affect bees. Herbicide.
Because I asked somebody one time, right?
Yeah.
A bee person, and they said the pesticides, it won't kill the bees, but it will kind of stunt them. So does it depend on the type of?
Insect. Pesticide is designed to kill the insect. Bees are insect. So automatically, once it's a pesticide that is designed to kill insect, bees being an insect are going to be killed by pesticide.
That's if you spray them directly.
That's if they are come in contact with the pesticide. So what most persons would recommend is that you spray it during the time when bees are not active. So you spray close to the evening when it's going to dusk all the way to dawn, when you know that there's a less of a chance of the bees are there. But again, you might have a long residual effect to it that goes into the next day and systematic effect. It all depends on if it's contact or systematic. All of that stuff you have to look at because you have many different pesticides. Some that are just contact and then some it's systematic.
Okay. So, like how we usually we use pesticides, right? We haven't figured out a way yet to grow up like without pesticides. That's how they sucking insects.
Yes.
So like how we use it would not be recommended to get bees?
All right. So close? No. Why is that? You see, until you figure out a way to actually apply the pesticide and the timeline where these are, or you have something that is no longer you IPM, you find another control over that retards the growth or the population growth.
What is IPM?
IPM, integrated pest management.
Okay.
So as I said, come in 3 different categories. You have cultural practices, then you have biological control, and then the last resort is chemical. Right?
Okay.
So it's basically moving from one stage to the next. So if you can work on the cultural practices and improve the reduction of pests, you work on the biological practices, help to promote, the microenvironment that reduce and, the growth of all of these, or the conditions itself, it promotes the growth of pests, or the habitats of pests, then that will also help with reducing their...
Suppose I have a greenhouse and I put bees in it with the peppers. You can't use a pesticide?
No. And then you contain, again, keeping the bees in such a contained environment, they have to have the ability to fly in and out. You know, because I said one greenhouse is like maybe a small distance. You want to look all these bees in this small place. And what happens when you finish, you know, pollination?
So then they're going to eat more pollen from the pepper.
Yeah, but the quantity of pollen that you get, you don't know how much trees of these have to pollinate.
No.
To actually, there's a lot, you know, a ton load of trees. That's the reason why I gave you a 5 mile after a 3 mile radius. So it simply means that these bees have to go throughout all of these. And one simple colony, a regular standard hive, holds like about 30 to 45,000 bees inside.
Yeah.
Right, yes. And so if you have a small nuke that might occupy 15,000 bees, that's still too much. Very small, you know, 1 acre block. So you see, all of that you have to take in consideration. But
well, more on greenhouse with bees in there.
Mhm.
So you need to figure out how that doesn't work. Yeah.
Precise. Yeah, precise.
Precise.
Yeah, we can
Whatever.
work on that. As I was mentioning, pollen is used for 2 purposes. One is to feed the bees through the purpose of converting it into, they have a yeast-like thing that they put on it to ferment it, convert it to bee bread. Then the other purpose of pollen is that when the adult bee intake the pollen, it produces a substance or another protein, highly rich protein, that is called royal jelly. And this royal jelly is used to feed the first development phase of both the fertilized and the unfertilized eggs to get them to for the first 3 days, to get them past that metamorphosis phase into the development, right? So that's the booster, they call it the booster. And then now they switch the food substance to continuous bee bread for all the other bees, which is the drone bee and the worker bee, but they continuously feed the queen on royal jelly. So that's
So the
important.
queen only eat royal jelly?
Queens only eat
So
royal
what them
jelly.
do the honey? Them eat the honey?
So the honey now is, the honey is actually bee food, you know. Honey is bee food. So during,
So they eat bread and honey?
they eat bee bread and honey. So that's the thing that they do. You know?
Bread and honey.
Bee bread. So it's known as bee bread. And so while we say pollen in the hive, it's not really pollen because what is stored is known as bee bread. You know, once they do the process of everything, you get the bee bread. Now let's talk about the pesticide now. So let's say the pesticide leaves from here and it goes into that bee bread. What the bee is actually going to be doing now is feeding themselves and their young bee bread. Now, when I just mentioned to you the food, the changing of the food from royal jelly to bee bread, that shows that the food plays a key role in the development of the bee. So if the food is contaminated or if affected, then automatically the bees are going to be affected. Well, I don't know if you have ever heard or any of the viewers have known about a thing they call colony collapse disease. It's a very popular disease in the United States. And what this disease is that you have these bees going mad. Say about the micro disease, that's the equivalent of micro disease in bees. So you find out that these bees are doing some crazy things that are not natural.
Like sting people?
Sting though, there's absconding. So they lose their sight of direction, they just go and die. So you find out that one day you might come in and your colony is filled with bees, and the next day you come back is all dead bees on the ground. Or you come back and there's no bees at all. So that's just erratic, sporadic type of behavior that is called. So this can result for maybe at least 30 to 50% of lost colonies, you know, or even more.
The pesticide?
You know? Yeah, that pesticide. So the both fungicide and the herbicide. So in these monocropping plantations, you find out that they rely heavily on pesticides and fungicides. So the pesticide and fungicide now, the same procedure, they go into the pollen, they get contaminated, collecting the nectar too, bees take it home, feed their young on it. Now,
So they use the nectar for food?
they need the nectar to feed and develop their young. So imagine you taking something that is so bad to your kids to give them to eat constantly. That's
So what
what's
they come here to get? The pollen and the nectar?
nectar and pollen, but not all plants produce pollen and nectar. Some just focus on only pollen and a little bit of nectar. Some focus on mostly nectar, a little bit of pollen, and then some do a mixture, pollen and nectar.
You know what pepper produce?
Pepper, well, pepper is mostly a pollen producing plant, you know. And
You
maybe
can look at the flowers
that's
for
right. Yeah, because it show you all of the stuff them on the inside. You see this, the pollen, the stamen, and you look at the side here. These are the things that carry the pollen. The one thing in the middle, that's where the female. So once the bee come, do its fertilization, you know, you want to take pollen from another right across this one, and oops, you get a nice pretty pepper coming up, and fertilization take place. So yeah, so
For the pesticides, if the bees, like what if the bee use this flower that was sprayed, right?
yeah.
The bees don't die,
Mm-hmm.
and they go back and they make honey. We will get the pesticides in the honey?
All right, yes.
Will the honey be contaminated?
I'm just going to rest this here for video purpose. We're going to take it out of the field. We're not going to leave it here, okay? All right, so yes. So you have a thing they call residual effect. You know what is residual effect? You find that it's a transfer from one state into another state. So residual effect means how long it lasts and how it transfers from one thing. So imagine you contaminate a piece of meat with, let's say, something, and the animal while it was alive. Now, when you kill that animal for the purpose of meat, that residual effect, it simply means that the same chemical that is present in that meat at that particular time. So when you consume that meat, automatically, then the cycle goes on and on and on. So you're going to be affected by that due to the residual effect. So when you see a lot of this withdrawal period, say, withdrawal period is like 21 days before consumption, before you harvest. That is an important thing that you have to pay attention to, because manufacturers have actually did the test and realized that the residual effect lasts until a particular point. So it's safe for use after that particular point, right? And
So for the honey,
yes,
if the bees go and make the honey, you can just put it on for a time and then use it.
yes, that's one stage. That's if it reaches to the honey stage.
So, like some pesticides and fungicides, so we try to find the ones that say they don't affect bees. Like some actually say that. So you think that those can work along with bees?
Yes, I guess they would just help to minimize the damage that's been done to bees. So I would consider that. I mean, I'm yet to test a lot of those things because, as I said, this pepper bees fusion is something that I'm just relying on my expertise to as my best knowledge. But I think there's a chance that it might make a big difference. Yeah. But in general, just the overall benefits of these is that it's said to improve your yield by at least 20 times.
Bees.
Yeah, that's what it is.
20
So
times?
pollination, having the bees as a part of your pollination will improve your productivity at least
20 times or 20%.
20 times. So what's happening now?
A multiple factor.
So you increase your yield. That's how effective pollination is in terms of having these little insects coming around to your trees when they're flowering and offer you pollination services.
So basically, I need to reduce
Yeah. All right.
as
So
best as possible
for
pesticide
instance,
use.
I'm just going to jump away from pepper a little bit into almonds. Now, there's millions of acres of almond in California, right? And California, almonds are only pollinated by bees. So that pollination service in America is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And that's where majority of the queens that we produce in Hawaii ends up under pollination. But as I said, it has an upside and a downside. They do face the same issue that I mentioned about fungicide and the pesticide because they rely heavily on fungicides and pesticides. So that's where the mortality of these colonies, they have a high mortality rate in those operations. And that's the reason why they have a constant system designed around queen production that helps to replenish their colonies within a short period of time. So, yeah, without bees, you wouldn't be enjoying those nice, juicy almonds that you find.
But me still want to know though, like if I have my greenhouse and I have enough flowers in there for the bees, why they can't stay in there?
No, they can, like for instance, you can time it. So let's for argument's sake say you decide that you want to have bees inside. So what you can do, and I think would be the safest thing to do, have these bees situated in an area where you have two entrances. One that's going into the greenhouse and the next one that goes out. So what you'll do, you'll definitely have a portion of bees that service the greenhouse. But at the same time, due to the population, you're going to need bees to go elsewhere, right? So, and that is what I would recommend. Having double entrance. So you get the benefit of having that versus... Now, the downside to greenhouse, having them on the inside now is that lighting. Anytime you turn on a light bulb inside, in the dark, the bees are going to be attracted to the light bulb. Yes. So you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of dead bees.
Really?
Yes, because they're just going to kill themselves running at that light.
We're not going in the greenhouse at night.
So once you don't turn on any light in the greenhouse...
So what if you use like
But what if the
low...
lights were there to improve productivity? Because more light increase photosynthesis. So it's like it's not a, as I said, it's something that
All right,
you have to really think
I have a
about.
suggestion.
Yeah.
You close the entrance to the greenhouse and turn on the light.
And you turn on the light.
Yeah.
That's a lot. See it?
Solve it.
That might solve the problem.
Problem solving
you see it?
skills.
That's one of those
Get
things.
one nickel one.
One nickel one.
That I think can be experimented with.
Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kareem, for his input. And we'll continue to share whatever we learned with you. And so we can use it. Remember to like, subscribe, and share.